Salut à tous. Le BIFF vient de se terminer il y a une dizaine de jours. J'ai réalisé plus de 10 interviews et vu une trentaine de films. Et parmi celles-ci, la première que j'ai envie de vous proposer, c'est celle de Babak Anvari, le nouveau protégé d'Universal. Alors s'il a grandi à Londres et qu'il a un accent North London évident, il a aussi des origines iraniennes. D'ailleurs, son premier film faisait la part belle au conte iranien et à certaines mythologies de ce pays. Ici, c'est un peu différent. Dans Hallow Road, son tout nouveau film qui a été présenté au BIFF, qui a gagné le prix de la critique, c'est vraiment une inspiration des fairy tales plus anglo-saxonne. Ça rejoint un peu ma vidéo précédente sur Guillermo del Toro, qui était également fort inspiré par les fairy tales. Voilà, je ne vais pas parler que des fairy tales dans toutes mes vidéos sur ma chaîne, soyez rassurés, mais c'est un genre qu'on aime beaucoup aussi avec des réalisateurs de talent. Donc je vous laisse découvrir tout sur Hallow Road et Babak Anvari dans cette vidéo. Il y aura d'autres vidéos sur d'autres réalisateurs du BIFF et d'autres sujets. Moi, on ne me revoit plus avant la fin de la vidéo. C'est un concept que j'ai décidé pour ces interviews. On va laisser la parole aux réas et aux gens qui parlent de leurs films. Moi, j'apparais au début et à la fin. Et comme ça, je pourrai aussi publier mes vidéos plus vite.
I'm Babak Anvari and I'm the director of Hallow Road.
Can I film this?
And the reaction at BIFF was, it was interesting. I wasn't expecting it. First of all, it was so like the cinema. It was like loads of people there. It was like I think the biggest screening room we've played the film so far. It was I don't know, probably 600-700 people. So that was really exciting. And they made me sing on the stage, which was scary.
Nelly the elephant packed the trunk, said goodbye to the circus.
You did the answer there?
Please don't put me through it again. But I'll say it, it's Nelly the elephant. Nelly the elephant packed, what is it? Nelly? The trunk. I keep forgetting that. Nelly the elephant packed the trunk and said goodbye to the circus. But there's relevancy, like it's relevant to the film. Once people watch the film, they know why this song. So the film is like a parent's worst nightmare. They're almost hell. It's about these two parents played by Rosamund Pike and Matthew Rhys who get a call at 2 a.m. In the morning from the daughter the daughter telling them that she just had an accident.
Alice,
Whoa, what? What's happened?
she hit someone with her car.
The parents jump into a car to go and get to her to fix the situation, to help her. And then from that moment onwards, we're almost staying with the parents in the car whilst they're talking to their daughter on the phone. And then as the story develops, things starts unraveling, strange things starts happening, and all the parents have their anxieties and imagination because they can only hear the daughter. They don't know what's happening on the other end.
What do I do?
What about the ambulance?
They're not here.
You have to listen to Mum, all right?
It's a UK, Czech Republic, Ireland co-production. So the question, you were like, how big was the influence of fairy tales? So that's a great question because huge. When I first read the script, I immediately felt like it has a very fairy tale-esque element because just like an old fairy tale, like Sleeping Beauty, for instance, it's about these two parents who desperately want to change the fate of their daughter, the fate that she brought upon herself. So I immediately was like, there's a fairy tale element to it. And I was really inspired by a specific thing like Celtic mythology, which is very popular in the UK and Ireland. Very famous Middle Eastern sort of series of fairy tales are known as 1001 Nights, which has been translated as Arabian Nights in the West. But the original title is 1001 Nights. And I used to read that a lot as a child, but got really into the Grimm, Brothers Grimm. So I was like I was hoovering up everything from both my sort of Middle Eastern culture and the Western culture at the same time. And as you know, if you've seen my first film, that's almost like, again, taking inspiration from the myths and fairy tales from my country of origin. with this one, it's my adopted country, which is the UK. Honestly, the nerdy side of me, every time I'm watching that movie and at the very beginning you see the Universal logo with the Earth, I'm giggling because it's the child in me that used to watch Universal films as a kid and thinking that that's the stamp of approval. That makes me really excited. So it's a huge deal especially for an independent filmmaker. You're putting a lot of effort to make this indie feature for like a big distributor to come and then release it. It's a dream come true. I think it's kind of like a continuation of my other films. If anything, it's a little bit similar to my first film that, it's almost like a family drama mixed with a bit of folklore and mythology and fairy tale. So I call it like a weird genre. It's a weird tale. So yeah, I think in that sense it's a bit similar to Under the Shadow. My first movie is Under the Shadow. It's again a sort of like a horror tale set in 80s Tehran during the Iran-Iraq War, which is a period that I was born and grew up in. So I took inspiration from that, and it was the film. It was my debut feature, and it opened a lot of doors for me. Ended up winning, getting nominated for 2 BAFTAs and winning 1. One of the producers on The Shadow, my first film, Luke in Tow, him and I then started 2 and 2 Pictures together. So we've done all of my films so far have been with Luke and other lovely co-producer partners like Ian Henry. On this last one, but yeah, Luke and Two is my producing partner, and we are 2 and 2 Pictures. And 2 and 2, the name comes from actually, funnily enough, a short film that I did before Under the Shadow that paved the way. That is called 2 and 2, and that got nominated for a BAFTA, and it was the starting point for me. Yeah, cinema is genuinely my life. I mean, ever since, like I said, I was a kid. My refuge was cinema and stories and storytelling, like getting lost into my own world, and I thought like if there's a way that I can sort of create that and bring the audiences into my own world, that would be the dream job. Like Cronenberg and Carpenter, obviously, they're 2 of my huge sort of influences. I think I devoured all of Cronenberg films when I was at film school. I was just so obsessed with him, and I love the way his stuff are like obviously very horrific in a good way, like with a lot of body horror, and they're very tense, but they're all talk about something deep and human and existentialist, and he's almost like a philosopher as well as a filmmaker. So his films makes you really think, and those are the type of films that I really like, and I really try my best to do, is the type of films that you give the audience something to enjoy, a thrill ride, but also give them enough room to interpret stuff themselves and be part of it, and hopefully think about it afterwards. I think that's really important for me because it makes it more interactive for the audiences. Del Toro is like a big one that I sort of found out later in my life, but first time I ever fell in love with movies and I knew that I want to become a filmmaker, I was like around age 10, 11 watching obviously Spielberg films, but also Tim Burton was a massive deal for me as a kid. And Tim Burton loves, he takes a lot of inspiration from like sort of fantasy world, fairy tale world, but also a lot of like Hammer House movies. And so I think it was like, I love tension, and I personally have a lot of anxieties myself, so I love inflicting that on others because it's very cathartic for me. Yeah, and I'm a massive fan of strange tales and like weird tales. So I think it's just a combination of all of that sort of, but made this.
We know.
Look, sound and music is so important for me as a filmmaker, and in this last one we were so lucky to get the rights for this track from the 80s that I absolutely love from Depeche Mode. And we took it to Lorne Balfe, who's an amazing composer, and luckily he's a fan of Depeche Mode. And I was like, can you use it as an inspiration for the score of the film? And he loved that idea, and he brought his partner Peter on board, Peter Adams, and you know, it just made the whole, you know, that track. When I was reading the script, coincidentally, I started listening to that track, and I was like, this just makes so much sense, because the original track is also very mysterious, it's pop, but it's also very dark and mysterious. So I was like, this is perfect for what I'm trying to capture in this movie. So it's hugely important. It's just, and I also think, like, with music in the film, in films personally, I think it's better if you don't plaster it all over your film. It just needs to come at key points to really sort of like elevate the film, which I tried to do in this film. You know, like, it's not like the score is not all over the film, but when it comes, you really feel it. And sometimes I don't even use score. Like my first two films, and like Under the Shadow, there's no score. It's all sound design. So it depends on the story, but the soundscape and music is so key for me as a storyteller.
Alors voilà, moi j'ai adoré cette interview, j'ai adoré ce film. J'avais déjà vu son premier long métrage, j'avais raté le deuxième qui est disponible sur Netflix. Voilà, je peux le dire, sur Netflix. Et son court métrage, je l'ai rattrapé depuis. Je trouve vraiment que c'est quelqu'un à suivre. Comme je vous l'ai dit, c'est le nouveau protégé d'Universal. Je pense que son film va faire un tabac et qu'on va encore entendre parler de lui dans le futur. On a eu beaucoup de chance de l'avoir à Bruxelles, au Brussels International Fantastic Film Festival, le BIFFF. Pour les prochaines interviews sur cette chaîne, il y a Herboulo, il y en a plein d'autres que j'ai rencontrés au BIFFF, il y en a plein d'autres que j'ai rencontrés à Anima. Donc beaucoup de contenu de ce type, avec des interviews où je laisse la parole aux gens. Et puis il y aura d'autres vidéos où je ferai des capsules plus analytiques. Je suis fan de cinéma d'animation. On va parler de plein de choses. Je me lance. Voilà, j'espère que ça vous plaît. Si ça vous plaît, suivez-moi. Et si pas, salut!